Hey guys, it's Dawn and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It feels like this year is going by at the speed of light, so somehow we're already to the third quarter and I need to talk about my goals. So let's do that. I have timestamps down below so you can kind of navigate to what interests you. We're going to start with writing, go to reading, very briefly talk about social media, and then I have like a little artsy thing to talk about at the end, just like a little hobby I've picked up recently that I wanted to show you guys. It's bookish related, but I get it if you're not interested. So just check the timestamps for whichever section you want to fast forward to. But let's talk about my writing goals for the third quarter of this year. So as you guys probably know already, I am working on the full novel version of The Elf and the Goblin. That's what I'm doing for Camp NaNoWriMo. That's what I've been working on outlining for the past couple months. So that is continuing. I am currently handwriting because I just feel like I need a creative break from the computer. It's very distracting and I've just been enjoying handwriting and not feeling like I have all these like tabs and apps, at my fingertips. So I think this is working out pretty well. Although it is a little bit slower than typing, of course, it's still a lot of fun and I am getting a lot of work done. So this is the notebook I'm using currently. I am trying to finish filling it up in July. I'm at page 43 right now. So I think I'm a little over a quarter of the way through the notebook. So I do need to kind of kick it into gear a little bit, but it's okay if I don't completely fill it this month. That's just my goal. And then I have my next notebook ready to go for August and September. So my goal this quarter is to completely fill both of these notebooks, which according to my estimations will be approximately 80,000 words, probably a little bit less just based on some pages not having as much writing, or maybe I was writing a little larger that day. There's a lot of variables. So approximately 80,000 words. So that is the major writing goal. I don't really have any secondary ones. I'm open to working on other little things, but I don't have anything specific that I'm trying to work on besides The Elf and the Goblin. So that is going to be my main focus. I am loving this project. I adore the story. I adore the characters. I'm having way too much fun with the world building, getting really into the languages, the cultures, the clash between the two major cultures in this world. So it's a ton of fun. It's right up my alley. I'm having an amazing time on this project, which I hope means that it will turn out well and people will enjoy reading it, but we shall see. I think 80,000 words will put me close to the halfway point of this draft, but we'll see when we get there because I could always add more that's not in the outline, so we'll see. Okay, moving on to reading goals. So I fell way behind on my kind of secondary reading goal, which was I was trying to read 100 books with my older sister because that's what she's working on this year. I fell behind. I am not reading 100 books this year, so I'm just switching back to my actual official primary goal, which was 41 books. If you guys don't remember, I did 41 because my goal was 40 last year and I only read 39, so I felt like I had to add another one. Excuse me. Anyways, so I'm back to focusing on just trying to read 41 books this year. I think according to Goodreads, I'm at 29 right now, but that includes a DNF, The Sword of Shannara. Sorry, Terry Brooks. So after the first quarter, I actually went into a little bit of a reading slump for a couple months because of two books, Priory of the Orange Tree and Don't Call the Wolf. I'll put information in the description if you want to look those up on Goodreads. This one was going really well. I got to the halfway point though, and then there was a specific thing that happened, which I can't spoil, that really upset me and it kind of ruined the experience for me. So I still want to finish this one because otherwise I really was enjoying it and it was a really interesting concept. But yeah, I had to put it aside for a little while because I was so upset about what happened in the middle. And then this one, I'm just going to be brutally honest, I don't like it. I thought it was basically the most generic, unimaginative YA fantasy story, but it just happened to have Polish mythology instead of, like Western European or whatever, we have that's really, really common in fantasy. So other than that, it's just there's nothing about it that's interesting. I thought all the characters were really boring. It's very cliche. It's very tropey. And I just didn't like it. So I think I maybe got a quarter of the way through and I don't want to continue reading it. So I think it's going to have to be donated. That feels really mean to say, but that is my honest opinion about this. And I feel really bad because I'm sure this author worked really hard on this book and was very passionate about it, but it's just not for me. So it kind of killed my reading vibes and I went into a slump for a while, but I managed to pull myself out of the slump with a little bit of Catherine Addison. So The Goblin Emperor was my favorite book I read last year. And I read the Stormlight Archive for the first time last year and adored it. So the fact that I'm putting this above the Stormlight Archive should tell you guys a lot. I adore this. I just finished rereading it because Catherine Addison released sort of a companion novel. It almost feels like a novella just because it was so short. It's only around like 230 or 40 pages, I think. But it's a companion novel rather than a true sequel because it features a different character in this world. But I loved it. I loved being back in the world of The Goblin Emperor, and it made me really excited to go back and do a reread I was planning to do anyways. I love these books. I love these books so much. I love the characters. I love the beautiful world that Catherine Addison created. This is what I want from fantasy. Like, I want character work, and these books are defined by the character work. So good. So good. If you like court intrigue and like political fantasy, 100%, like, you need to read The Goblin Emperor and then you need to read this. I don't recommend reading Witness for the Dead unless you've already read this because there's a lot of references and stuff that I feel like won't make sense if you haven't already read The Goblin Emperor. And then I noticed they didn't include a glossary in this one, whereas they do have it in this one. And so there's a lot of terms that get thrown around as if you already know them in this one. So that's just my recommendation. Read this one. If you love it, read this one. I love these books so much. So yeah, I'm not in a reading slump anymore thanks to Catherine Addison and her amazing, amazing books. Continuing with Catherine Addison, I actually picked up another book she wrote. So this is not in the Goblin Emperor's world at all. It's The Angel of Crows, which I think is just a standalone. But I picked this up because I love her work. I think I got this with my birthday money or something. I can't remember. But this is on my TBR. I'm very excited to read it. I think it's compared to Sherlock Holmes, but you know, it's in a fantasy setting, if I remember correctly. Very excited to read it. And then also on my TBR is to reread The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter and then to read the sequel, The Fires of Vengeance, which I have not read yet. I feel like I need to reread this one, not because I don't remember all the events that happened, but more so because I don't want to get characters mixed up and I want to make sure I know the geography and like background of the world really well before I try to read the sequel. I loved this one last year. I think I gave it 5 stars. So this is an excellent, excellent book and I'm very excited to continue with the series. There's plenty of other books behind me that are also on my TBR, but those are ones I was excited to tell you guys about. So yeah. So that wraps up reading goals, and very, very, very briefly, I want to talk about social media a little bit because I'm actually very, very excited that after a little over 3 years of being on YouTube/AuthorTube, I finally hit 200 subscribers. Is that so sad? I know it's my own fault because there were so many stretches where I kind of fell off the wagon, I didn't post consistently, or I didn't really tailor my content and I had too much of a variety, so I wasn't really targeting my audience very well, but it feels good. I have been really happy with my content lately. I'm trying to focus more on making videos that I'm proud of and that excite me rather than trying to get out a video every single week, even if the video is kind of boring or I don't know, not super useful, whatever. So I have been happy with that and I think that's been helping. So thank you to all you guys who subscribed recently. I really appreciate it. I hope you continue to enjoy my content and get a lot out of it, hopefully. So that's all for social media. I really don't like to talk about social media because, I don't know, it's kind of awkward. But last but not least, like I promised, I wanted to talk about a little art project that I started recently. So I felt like I had a creative itch that wasn't being scratched by writing or by reading, so I felt like I wanted to do some sort of art project. However, the issue is I'm not super good at drawing or painting or anything like that. I'm not a graphic designer. I don't have like Photoshop. I don't have those programs. So I didn't really know what I wanted to create for a while. But then I had the idea of creating artwork with books. So I go to the thrift store a couple times a week. I love browsing the book sections, but had gotten to a point recently where I kept getting more books even though I wasn't making a dent in my TBR. So I wanted to find a way that I could still get the enjoyment of browsing the book section at the thrift store and hunting for good finds without adding to my TBR. And I realized it would be fun to make artwork from popular classics, popular newish books, all that sort of thing. So I decided to start making art out of books. So I started with one that's for my husband actually. So his favorite classic is Dante's Inferno. And I found a little mass market paperback of the Inferno at my thrift store and grabbed that for 75 cents and created this. So the cool thing about this copy, I think a lot of the Inferno features drawings, or a lot of different editions feature illustrations. But you can see, I'll try to zoom in. So there's little maps showing the descent of, into the different levels of hell, and then ending with, sorry, that's like so metal, ending with the devil. But I created this for my husband. I used Mod Podge to stick the pages to the canvas and then did another layer over to seal everything. And of course, obviously I had to sacrilegiously tear apart the book. But my thinking was that a lot of times books end up in the thrift store and never find a home. So I thought it'd be nice to kind of give books new life by turning them into art, if that makes sense. So I'm exclusively going to be working with thrift store books. I'm going to try to find copies that aren't in great condition so they don't have like a huge chance of being picked up by people that actually want to own those copies and read them. So that is my hope. But this was my first project, Dante's Inferno. And then my second project was one I made for myself out of a book of Russian fairy tales that I bought secondhand while I was in Kiev a couple years back. This one featured a lot of really cool illustrations. So I chose the one that seemed the most like blatantly in your face Russian. Love that. And then like a smaller illustration I put down in the corner. So the book is actually written in Russian, so I thought the Cyrillic had a nice look and it went with a lot of my Slavic decor. Yeah, that's the one I made for myself, which I love. I've been setting it behind there, just kind of between the books, and I think it looks really cute. And then lastly, I got a little experimental with this one because this book did not have illustrations, which I think makes it a little bit harder, but I did Anne of Green Gables. And so because there weren't illustrations, I added accents with like scrapbook paper. So there's like a green accent and then like a flower accent on this corner. And then I chose Anne's little awkward prayer that she does with Marilla where she signs it, "Yours respectfully, Anne Shirley." So I cut that out and kind of put it as like a pop out in the middle. I like the ones with the illustrations better, honestly, but it's so hard because thrift stores, you only find what people donate. So there's no guarantee you're even going to find the book you're looking for, let alone one that has illustrations. So I'm trying to learn how to work with what I can find. So that's kind of what I've come up with to do with books that don't have illustrations. The next one I'm going to work on is I found a copy of Pride and Prejudice, which I think, a lot of women really love Pride and Prejudice and love the quotes from that book. It's a very quotable book. So I'm going to make another one in this same size of Pride and Prejudice. So my hope is actually to start selling them just on the side for the fun of it. I'm not really sure like what to list this sort of thing for, but I'll let you guys know how that goes I'll probably just use like Facebook Marketplace or whatever. But yeah, that's the little art project I've been working on recently and having a lot of fun with. Okay, so those are all the goals and things that I want to be working on for the third quarter of the year. Let me know down below in the comments what kind of things you're hoping to accomplish in this third quarter. I would love to hear about it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys all continue to have a good and productive Camp NaNoWriMo and that you have an amazing rest of your week. And as always, happy writing. Bye!